20 minutes into tonight's episode, one of the most terrifying scenes in the entire run of Barry begins. An attack on Barry and Sally's secluded home, which causes the latter to contact her husband in a panic and urge him to come home. It's frightening in several ways, starting with the surroundings. On the couch, John is sleeping and exposed to intruders because the door and windows are open. We're ready to take action as Sally slowly enters the living room after hearing faint shouting about someone coming for her and her son. However, I still couldn't have foreseen the threats that would actually materialize here or how they would do so. The scene begins with a tall man in a black morph suit carefully following Sally throughout the room. But it's Hader's directing and the sound editing that make it so tense it's almost unbearable, especially when the camera pans to a location where the figure isn't visible. We can only speculate as to what he is preparing to do off-screen. The biker Sally, stabbed and starting now, continuously asks, "What did you put in my eye?" as the man closes and locks the door behind her as she returns to her bedroom. Sally then hears this voice from her own memories. She also hears him allegedly looking over her unconscious son, but she doesn't have time to take it all in. A pickup truck rams the bedroom wall hard just as she tries to blast her unloaded gun through the door, tipping the entire house and everything inside upside down. He has already gotten into his car and is on the road. The episode finally returns to the living room, where John awakens to find the house in ruins, dispelling any notion that this was all a dream. But the fact that this sequence has no genuine explanation inside the universe is what intrigues me the most. Although Bill Hader and the other writers usually design this program down to the last detail, this particular attack serves no real storyline purpose other than perhaps to prevent Sally from choosing to wait for Barry's return. As far as we are aware, the intruders are unrelated to any of the primary individuals we are aware of who want Barry dead, such as Hank or Jim Moss. No, his scenario is more based on nightmare logic, similar to how the laughing children in the previous episode vanished into the night after banging on the door. Although it's not a hallucination, the logic may not be as clear-cut as it seems. It represents the dangers that could surface whenever Barry isn't there, leaving Sally unprepared and defenseless. She only feels safe with Barry, as we've established. Therefore, it seems like she created something from that notion. Additionally, it triggers her traumatic memories, trapping her in the 8-year-old incident when she lost control and killed someone. Barry allowed Bill Hader to play with a variety of tones, which feels very accurate at this time. I'm aware that not everyone has appreciated the series' darker shift, but the chance to watch Hader develop his craft has been worthwhile, particularly with recent forays into horror. Furthermore, I still find a lot of humor in this situation, like when Sally gives her child booze to keep him out of her hair. We're smiling as Futches introduces a daughter he just met, descended from a coffee shop barista who promised herself to him the moment he lay eyes on her, only seconds after leaving a shell-shocked Sally. Actually, there are hilarious parts in every scene of the Futches, Noah Hank storyline. The two men form a collaboration at the pinnacle of their criminal careers when they agree to protect Futches and his men's assets for Hank in exchange for money, a lovely home, and Barry's head on a platter. Futches has thoroughly embraced his Raven identity during the past 8 years, turning into the legendary, alluring hitman Hank first created, with the help of numerous tattoos and black nail polish. Additionally, Hank created the crime utopia he always imagined by creating an empire out of sand. Its name, Nohobel, is a sardonic allusion to the guy who lost his life so that Hank's dream, Cristobal's own dream, could come true. Even a gilded statue of Cristobal can be found in the lobby of the massive offices. You'd think Hank would want to leave Cristobal behind him, but by paying such meager homages, he can act as though he is. Even after investing all of his efforts into the company for 8 years, he still dislikes being reminded of the fact that even if he didn't shoot Cristobal, he had a significant impact on the outcome. That dinner scene is fantastic because Futches honestly believes that by praising Hank for killing Cristobal and stealing his invention, he is complimenting him. He finds Hank's situation to be admirable and is perplexed as to why Hank would find it so painful to conceive of himself as this ruthless crime king. Hank initially used his ruthlessness as a coping strategy, but now he has convinced himself that violence is the only option. He only has to confront that fallacy to call off the deal and send everyone home. Even at their worst, Futches and Hank never fail to make people laugh. But in Barry's plot, which follows him back to LA to kill Jean, the jet black humor really shines through. Sally realizes the absurdity of the plan in the episode's opening scene, noting that murdering him wouldn't stop the attention. She's completely right when she says that Barry only wants retaliation for Gene reporting him in. But it also brings back Barry's outrage over Lon O'Neill's revelation of the tale from Gene's one-man performance. But it's obvious that Sally influences Barry, especially after she says that killing is wrong. So get past that mental block. He uses a humorous, very Barry strategy, listening to Christian podcasts to find a biblical justification for murder. Despite the fact that there were authorized killings in the Old Testament, most people think that murder is generally frowned upon. The third, on the other hand, insists that murder is definitely not a sin. It is told by a former enforcer turned pastor who killed a hockey player after allegedly sensing a sign from God. Barry only needs to see Leo's son for him to take his rifle and run to his home. Barry previously wouldn't have let anything stop him, but now that he has a boy of his own, he is unable to do it. Gene has demonstrated a talent for rationalization, and his appearance near the conclusion of Tricky Legacies suggests that even after spending 8 years abroad, Gene remained Gene. However, it turns out that he contacted Warner Bros. In order to destroy the film and uphold Janice's memory, not because he truly wanted to consult on the Barry Berkman biography. Gene's wish to prevent Barry from being immortalized sounds sincere, but the narrative about Gene discovering selflessness in an Israeli kibbutz is a little over the top. It's difficult to know how seriously to take this moralistic tendency. Even if he claims he wants the studios to leave him alone, the fact that they succeeded in repatriating him when not even his own son could speak something. However, that is obviously just another illustration of Gene's poor priorities. Even though he sincerely regrets shooting Leo and desires to once again be close to his family, they are not his first priority. Even Leo does not accept him. Barry eventually makes a move to do the task he flew here to undertake when he notices Gene's open back door at the end of the episode. But it's a trap since Jim Moss has been standing outside, perhaps anticipating Barry's arrival after hearing the news. Barry is restrained and finally made to sit across from him in the garage, facing the man whose daughter he killed. It's time for Barry to realize that no one owes him anything anymore with only 2 episodes left. Long ago, he gave up his right to share this tale.